Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. We're here with Bernie Pawlik, Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, Vancouver's best auto service experience. And we're talking cars. How you doing, Bernie?
I'm doing very well.
Actually, today I lied. We're talking trucks, and we're venturing into where there be dragons. We're gonna say, what's the difference between Dodge diesels versus Ford diesels? Which are tougher? What do you got to say, Bernie?
Well, I know it's going to be a controversial topic because Dodge lovers love their Dodges and Ford lovers love their Fords, and most people with these kind of vehicles tend to defend their chosen brand. So I'm not out to offend anyone. I'm just telling it like I see it, and probably throwing a bit of my own opinion in.
Sure.
So which start off, which is tougher. I mean, they both have their merits. My sort of gut feeling is which is a really tougher truck if you just want to bash it around is probably the Ford. So, but we can start getting into some specific areas on the vehicles.
Okay. So in our notes, you got front ends. What's going on with the front ends? What wears out on the front ends of these trucks?
Okay, so for a front end, so when we talk about front end, we're talking about the steering suspension of the vehicle. And so I would say definitely the Ford is it's noticeably tougher than the Dodge. And one critique of the Dodge trucks is the ball joints and tie rod ends tend to wear out pretty frequently. You'd be lucky to get 100,000 kilometers or 60,000 miles out of your ball joints and tie rod ends on a Dodge, whereas a Ford, they typically last much longer. I actually had two vehicles in the shop, a 2008 Dodge and a 2010 Ford. So I actually took some pictures of the front ends. I'll show you a few comparisons. It's a little unscientific, but let's have a look at a few things here. So we've got our this is the just gonna make sure I'm talking the right thing. This is the Dodge front end. So this is the view of the steering knuckle area. This is the universal joint. You can see a quarter for comparison. Again, kind of unscientific. The pictures are not exactly to scale, but we'll have a look at the Ford here. This is the Ford. Now, again, maybe I'll just toggle back and forth between pictures, but the Ford, up here, this is the tie rod end, much stronger on the Ford than the Dodge. The universal joint, basically, if you see it with your eyes, you can see the universal joint for the four-wheel drive is much larger. The ball joints are a little bigger, and this makes a difference to durability. So again, we'll go back to the Dodge. Again, the scale of the pictures is a little different, but click back a couple of times, you can kind of see it. Then tie rod end. So this is the Ford. This is the outer tie rod end on the Ford. Extremely thick bar, much larger tie rod end. And if we look at the Dodge, again, it's taken from a little more of a distance, but you can see the knuckle attachment is thinner. These things don't break, but they all contribute to the strength of the vehicle. So there's a bit of a comparison there. So that's the front end. So definitely those are much more durable on Fords than Dodges. Although I will say that when you have to replace the universal joint on the Dodge, it's an expensive job on either truck, but it's cheaper on the Dodge because Ford has designed this automatic locking hub mechanism, and there's a number of extra seals that need to be replaced when you do the U-joint. So it adds to the cost. It's more expensive on the Ford.
Okay, so we've talked about the front end in detail. So what about engines, which is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, with everybody's ego?
Yeah. So for this hangout, we're just talking about the late 2000 Ford and Dodges. So we've got the 6.7 liter Cummins in the Dodge. We've got the 6.4 liter engine in the Ford. I mean, they're both great running engines. For my money, I'd go with the Dodge. More reliable. It's a little simpler. It's only got 6 cylinders versus 8. So when things do go wrong, say you need a set of fuel injectors, you're only going to need 6 versus 8. There's just a lot less. The Cummins has been a pretty proven, reliable engine. Now, these both have a lot of emission equipment on them. They've got the diesel particulate filters. So the fuel economy in these late 2000s is worse than it was on the previous generation because of the emission equipment, and it's caused some complication. But overall, the Dodges have less problems, and I would, for my money, I would go with the Dodge over the Ford.
And how about transmissions and the rest of the drivetrain?
Well, the Ford wins for the transmission department. It's a weakness of the Dodge is the automatic transmissions definitely have problems. Now, if you buy one with the standard, you don't have that problem. And we do service a lot of Dodges with standards, but as far as automatic transmissions, definitely Fords are more reliable. As far as the rest of the drivetrain, the differentials, we don't see problems with either of them. They're all really good. Of course, if you haul like extremely heavy loads, you're going to start wearing things out. But for the Dodge and Ford, they both seem to be pretty much equivalent. I think, again, it seems like the Fords are built just a little tougher than the Dodges, but you know, overall the drivetrains are good in both.
So, final conclusion: which one is tougher in your eyes?
Well, I think the Ford is, but I like the Dodge engine better. So I don't know. You can't really mix and match them. You could. It would be a lot of work. But you know, it's you know, which truck do you like better? Go with it. And if you're going to go with the Dodge, just expect you're going to be doing more front end work than you will on the Ford. Personally, I would take the Dodge. That's just me.
So there you go. Pretty darn close. So if you have a Ford or a Dodge diesel truck that you want reliable expert service on, the guys to call in Vancouver are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112 to book your appointment. They're busy, you gotta book ahead, or check out their website. Got a ton of videos on there covering all kinds of subjects. PawlikAutomotive.com. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark.